We are examining a discussion by LeoBunny. She is a spiritual practitioner based in Japan, but her perspective is exceptionally grounded. And that's because of her professional background.
Right. She wasn't always just doing spiritual counseling.
No, not at all. Before she transitioned into counseling, she actually spent 35 years working as a systems engineer.
And honestly, that specific combination of skills is what makes her insights so compelling to me.
Oh, for sure.
She bridges this deep spiritual intuition with intensely analytical, systems-level engineering logic, which is rare.
Very rare.
So we are going to examine her ideas, map them onto modern cognitive science, and figure out how you can actually use them. But to get there, I think we need to start with the incident that sparked her entire theory on this.
The famous umbrella.
Yes, it involves a rather famous internet phenomenon in Japan, the tale of the traveling umbrella.
So the story begins with a completely unremarkable, cheap plastic umbrella.
Like the ones you buy at a convenience store for a few bucks.
Exactly. The kind a hotel in Tokyo might just keep by the door to lend out to guests when it is raining, operating on a very casual honor system.
Right.
But somehow, this specific umbrella, bearing the Tokyo Hotel's logo, mysteriously surfaces at a small inn in Aomori.
And for anyone unfamiliar with Japanese geography, Aomori is not close to Tokyo.
No, it's hundreds of miles away in the northern part of the country. And this inn is located in the incredibly scenic, nature-rich Oirace area.
So it's a huge journey for a piece of cheap plastic.
Exactly. And the innkeeper in Aomori snaps a picture of this misplaced umbrella and just posts it on social media.
Just a casual post.
Yeah, they add a caption explaining that seeing the specific logo of this Tokyo hotel brought back a massive wave of nostalgia for them.
Oh, I love that part.
Right. Apparently, back in their college days, they used to walk past that exact Tokyo hotel all the time. So they post the picture just to share a nice memory, and the internet does its thing.
It completely explodes.
It goes totally viral. People start tagging the Tokyo Hotel's official account, urging them to respond to this bizarre, heartwarming coincidence.
And the Tokyo Hotel's response is what truly elevates the whole situation. I mean, instead of demanding the return of their property or, pointing out that someone clearly absconded with it, they lean entirely into the charm of the moment.
They played it perfectly.
They really did. The staff is so moved by the innkeeper's nostalgia that they actually escalate the situation up the corporate chain of command.
Which is hilarious.
It is. They pitch a proposal to upper management to send an employee on an official, paid business trip all the way up to Aomori just to retrieve the traveling umbrella and meet the innkeeper.
And management actually approves it.
Yeah, they approve it, and it becomes this massive feel-good viral moment that generates fantastic PR for both businesses.
It's a great story.
It is.
The full conversation is on the podcast, available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. A free workbook is waiting too. Link in bio.